Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Wilderness Wargaming. Tonight we're going to finally get into the Battle Sisters Part 4 video. I'm going to talk a little bit about the units that I don't have and why they are not in the army and how they don't fit into my custom order of the Silver Chalice. And I hope that this will fill out for anyone who watched the earlier 3 videos why my order is the way it is and what I like about it. So stay tuned and we're going to get right into it. Okay, so first up, number 1 is Junith Erudita. Junith is not here for a very, very simple reason. I am not playing the Order of Our Martyred Lady. Now, I do have a custom painted order, so I could probably buy a Junith and paint her up as a custom canoness or a special canoness with the same sorts of rules as Junith and give her a new name and use her as long as I was using the Martyred Lady rules. I don't see why that would be a problem. But I just haven't done it yet. She doesn't excite me a whole lot, and I don't see the value for her. If I'm going to use a special character, Morvenval is obviously fantastic. Celestine is fantastic, and Ephrael, Stern, and Kynegal are great. And all of them suit me just more than Junith does. As far as her stats go, she's got a movement of 10, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, strength 3, toughness 4, which is presumably due to her flying pulpit that she rides around in. 7 wounds, 4 attacks, 9 leadership, save 3 up. That's a little odd. It really probably should be a 2 up with that pulpit of hers. And she's got Storm Heavy Flamer on the bottom of the pulpit that she flies around in. Actually, 2 of them. It's a twin weapon. So that's strength 6, AP minus 1, damage 1, and she has the Mace of Castigation. Strength is plus 3, so 6, AP minus 2, damage 2. And she only has 4 attacks. She's not really that wonderful in hand-to-hand combat. She is a good source of additional flamer attack. I think you really, and she of course she has a 4-up invuln. I think you really take her for her buffs. She gives full hit rerolls to Martyred Lady within 6. She gives light cover to Martyred Lady, or actually Adeptus Sororitas infantry within 6, and she does the lead the righteous things. Actually, this is redundant. She gives. Oh, okay. It's just like a chapter master ability. One unit gets the full rerolls, and everybody within 6 gets the rerolls of 1. And she explodes like a dreadnought. I just don't see where it's at for her. At one point, I might get the model and paint it up just because I'd like to see what it looks like in Silver Chalice colors, but it's not a high priority. Next up, we have the Triumph of St. Catherine. Okay, now, the Triumph is a very unusual model. It's really weird. It's like it's neither fish nor fowl. And what this is supposed to be is a bunch of very exalted sisters walking around with holy relics in an on the battlefield funeral procession. The mythology maybe, but the symbolism here is really strong, but it results in a very, very odd stat profile. It's 6 inches movement, weapon skill 3 up, strength 3, toughness 3, 18 wounds, 10 attacks, leadership 9, and 3 up save. Now, when it degrades, the only thing that really degrades is the attacks because it's supposed to be a collection of individual sisters, and it abruptly drops from 10 to 4. She also has all these different relics that give out different buffs, and I'm not going to go through all of them. This is another one that I could honestly see myself getting, but I don't know that I really want to spend the money. It would fit in, technically. There's no reason we can't have it. It's armed. Oh, yeah, I forgot. It's armed with a bolt pistol, which for some reason there's only one of them. The Martyr's Sword, which gives you 4 additional attacks on top of the 10 you already have, and then relic weapons. So the Martyr's Sword is strength plus 3, AP minus 3, damage 2, and the relic weapons are strength plus 2, AP minus 1, damage 1. And it hands out these buffs, and as you take wounds, you have to strip some of the buffs off of yourself. Now, what's interesting is this thing could technically, in Arcs of Omen, this could be your only headquarters choice. So you could have this funeral procession as your headquarters, which is wild. I think you probably have to take a character um, in the elite slot and then make them the warlord. I don't recall off the top of my head that this thing can be a warlord. But it counts as infantry because it's a collection of people character. And weirdly, despite its high wound total, it benefits from all the things that normal infantry would, so it can take advantage of cover and all the rest of it. Uh, it's just not. It's fun for narrative play, but it's one of those things that anytime I would put it in, I would feel like it was keeping me from using something else I'd rather use. So I'd rather not. Moving on. Astrid Thurga and Agatha Dolan. Now, what these guys do is that they basically they reduce they basically take away your command point cost to give out a relic, which is kind of handy. Um, and they can give all 6 sacred rites to sisters within 6 inches once per battle. I don't see where they're worth it. I don't like the models very much, actually. They're kind of ugly, and in my opinion, at least, the banner is cool looking, but I don't care for very much for the models. And they do something that I think is from the Crusade rules, which I'm not as familiar with. They're very typical stat lines here. Weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 5, attacks 3, leadership 9, save 3 up for Astrid, and then Agatha, the little scribe that follows her around, is kind of similar, except he's 4 up, or she is 4 up skills. Has 1 less wound and has a 6 up save and 1 less leadership. You have to kill the weaker one, Agatha Dolan, first. And, oh, I forgot, yeah, she also hands out a reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, and 1 damage roll in the command phase to a unit within 9, so that's a little bit more. But I don't know why I would ever take these. I don't see what they really do for you. Even in narrative setting, they're not bringing the value. I just don't see how they fit in. It would have to be a real storyline narrative game for me to ever take something like that. And I don't think, honestly, the way their description is, I don't think they would fit in with the Silver Chalice. The Silver Chalice is a little bit of a slightly off the beaten path order, and these guys don't strike me like they would want to hang out with us. Their weapon stats, by the way, the Blade of Vigil on the main characters is a +2, strength -2, AP, damage 2. And it gets around ignore wounds. It defeats wound shrugs and ignore wounds things. That actually could be kind of handy. I could see some use for that, but the baseline stat line is not great enough that I would want to use it. Like, you get them in there to you could shoot them in there to hit like a Necron Shard of the Catan, maybe, or a Phoenix Lord, but they're going to get murdered right after that. So those are a pass. Next up, we have, before we get to them, Crusaders, and I'm going to do Death Cult Assassins together. Both of these are ones that I just don't see the need to use them. I don't see what the Crusaders do that the Celestian Sacrosancts don't already do. They have very generally similar capabilities. It's power swords and Forpin's own seen from Crusader Shield, which is for all intents and purposes a Storm Shield, or a Sacrosanct Shield. Doesn't give the +1 to armor save. They do have a 5-up Shrug, which is kind of nice. I could use these guys for objective control. They also have Zealot, so they get hit rerolls, and that's pretty handy. So I could see these guys in small units as objective grabbers. The Death Cult Assassins are very similar. They're a little faster, 7-inch move, weapon skill 2 up, and 4 attacks, but they only have a 5-up save. They do have a 5-up invuln, and they have fight first, and they have Zealot also. They're power blades, so strength user, AP -3, damage 1, so basically a mini power sword. I actually own 2 Death Cult Assassins, but they're not painted yet. And same thing, I could use them in pairs or something like that, because they come in very, very small squad sizes as objective grabbers, but I haven't so far seen a reason to. I will probably get Crusaders and Assassins at some point, just because there are some less welcome Ministorum folks that'll come and hang out with the Silver Chalice, but these so far I haven't gotten to it yet. So these ones are a little special case. I actually probably will have at least small numbers of these eventually. Arco-Flagellants. Okay, these ones are ones that are just really a turnoff to me because the reason for this is these guys are basically the same role as the Repentia, and the Repentia are actually sisters. The Arco-Flagellants are not, and I'm glad that the Repentia have generally been considered better because I don't want to see armies of sisters that consist of a whole bunch of not sisters things. Like Ministorum units are all the best stuff, and it's all a bunch of people in penitent engines. There's like 2 sisters on the battlefield, and maybe 1 squad that flies around, but no troops or nothing like that. Uh, Also, their lore does not fit with the Silver Chalice. The Silver Chalice is mostly an order of women who were criminals or otherwise were in big trouble, and they kind of got out of it. They really managed to escape the fate that awaited them by going into the order, and so they don't want to see a whole bunch of people who got turned into Arco-Flagellants because it probably hits a little too close to home for them. Stats on these things: 7-inch move, weapon skill 4, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 2, so they're a little harder to remove. Attacks 2, leadership 7, save is 7 plus. They essentially don't have an armor save unless they're in light cover. And even then, it's AP 0, so I don't know why you even need it. They do have, they don't even have an invulnerable save. They do have is a 5-up shrug. They get a, I think they can get 1 squad leader who's called an Endurant. Yeah, 1 model can be equipped with Endurant Implants that gives them an extra attack and a boost in strength. And they're armed with Arco-Flails. Their strength plus 1 AP minus 1 damage 1, but they double your number of attacks. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, make 2 hit rolls instead of 1. See, I don't understand why you would do it that way. Why not just make them 4 attacks and keep it simpler? It's less to remember. They are zealots, so they get full hit rerolls, and these things could be effective. I mean, they can just drown an opponent in sheer numbers of attacks with a large squad. You're looking at 40 rolls from a squad of 10, and some of them have enhanced power. So I can see some useful there. They have an extremis keyword stratagem that boosts their power, but also inflicts mortal wounds on them. And you can put them in without taking up a detachment slot if you have a priest. But they're not bad. But they are definitely something that the Silver Chalice, just for its own reasons, that it would rather not tell the rest of the Ecclesiarchy doesn't want anything to do with. So I don't own any, and also I feel like I would rather put Repentia on the field. Moving on, we've got Mortifiers. Okay, these things are spooky because Repentia who fled or worse betrayed the order end up locked inside one of these things, piloting it, and they're basically being mentally tortured the entire time, which is yet another reason the Silver Chalice probably won't have them. They require Repentia to fail, and because of the way Silver Chalice use Repentia, they don't stay Repentia very long. They either die or they get inducted, and they wouldn't have many at all. They probably do have a few. But they would also be very reluctant to do this because, again, it's going to hit a little close to home for them to use things like this. Nevertheless, I might get a unit of these at some point. These are movement 8, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, toughness, strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 5, attacks 4, leadership 8, save 4 up. And they can have one that is inside a sarcophagus where she gets a save of 3 up. They have 5 up wound shrugs. They are zealots again. They can, half the time, they can fight before death if they're killed, and you get an extra benefit if you pair up their melee weapons. They also cannot perform actions. Now, there's been some builds once in a while of these. I think they call the mecha build, where you take 3 units of 4 of these and then maximum number of war suits. I haven't calculated how many points this would be, but it's basically a bunch of giant mechs stomping around with, or not so giant mechs, stomping around with Morphin Vol. It's kind of cool, but I am not about to get 12 of these and 6 more war suits. No siree, so won't be happening. Let's see. They have heavy bolters. You can give one of them the sarcophagus. They can't all have it. They can have 2 heavy bolters, 2 heavy flamers, or 1 of each. They can have 2 penitent buzz blades, which look like a circular saw, or 2 flails, or 1 of each. Taking paired ones is, I think, more beneficial generally. The heavy bolter and the heavy flamer, we've already talked about those. The penitent buzzblade, strength plus 3, AP minus 4, damage 2. That is pretty good because that's a strength 8 attack with AP minus 4. Those are rough. The penitent flail doubles the number of attacks. That would be strength 5 because it's user. AP minus 2, damage 1. So I don't know. I think I would probably be more inclined to just use the buzzblades most of the time, but or at least go half and half. I don't think I would probably use just nothing but flails, as you'd be locking yourself into the anti-heavy infantry role just a little too much then. And with 4 attacks, if you had a unit of these, you can still do some work that way. They're also a good way to get heavy bolters into the army, which are often the least picked heavy weapon, but they're also the longest ranged option the sisters have, other than maybe the exorcist and the battle cannon on the castigator. So there's that. These light thinkers, I probably will get some of these at one point, one squad of 3 or 4. I believe they come in boxes of 2. Then there are Ministorum Penitent engines, which are not that different from the mortifiers, except these are priests and other Ministorum people who are locked in a Penitent engine instead of a mortifier. They have all the same weapons options. I won't go over again. Their stat line: move 8, weapon skill 4 up, ballistic skill 4 up, strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 5, attacks 4, leadership 8. That they actually have worse weapon skill and ballistic skill than the mortifier, and these guns can advance and charge, which is pretty nice. They can move an additional 2 on pile and consolidation. They have a 5 up shrug, just like the mortifiers do, and cannot perform actions. The advance and charge is about the only thing really going for these. These, in my view, these are just cheaper but worse. I think they're cheaper, but worse versions of the mortifier. But the advance and charge can be handy. But these I'm not planning on getting any of them. I don't see what these do for me that I wouldn't get out of the mortifier. And then last, the Immolator. Now these I don't have because... Oh no, I'm sorry, not last. We have one more after this. The Immolator I do not have any because they were badly overpriced. And I'm kind of not wanting to spend more on vehicles. I would like them because you can have some pretty good weapon options on them. But I'm not sure how they're going to be if the twin weapons all become twin linked with the new twin linked rules in 10th edition. So we'll just have to wait and see. I do have a couple of rhinos that do my transport needs, and I don't find myself wanting a lot of transports, although ones that shoot are more appealing. You can take the heavy bolter version, the immolation flamers, or the twin multi-meltas. And they have an extra heavy bolter in the hull, no matter what. They're 12-inch move, strength, weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 3, strength 6, toughness 7, wounds 11, attacks 3, leadership 8. So they're one more wound than a rhino. And then they have the guns. Other than that, they're very similar to the rhino. But now with the castigator, though, I'm kind of. Now the one thing is, of course, you can use them as dedicated transport, so you can get tanks in there without eating up heavy support slots if you want. They hold 6 characters, or 6 models rather. So you can put a character in with a minimum size squad. That's pretty good. The reason I say we'll have to see is that I expect these weapons to all become twin linked, and it's going to be questionable about the value of the vehicle. We're going to have to see what the points cost is, because twin linked is not as good as a twin weapon that has twice as many shots. So they may be back into the not so great and use the rhino instead bin, and I won't be buying them. But if they are good, I will probably get 1 or maybe 2. These are also a good candidate for magnetization, so you can swap the weapon options out. One very interesting thing about these is the flamer option has an 18-inch range, so an extra 6 inches of range on top of the normal heavy flamer profile. For that reason, I might actually strongly consider using them with the flamers rather than the multi-meltas. And last, the Battle Sanctum, which is the big fortification that you get. Um, it subtracts 1 from leadership for chaos. Um, it gives you the Pray to the Saints action. So you can get an extra miracle die. It's not worth it. Trying to even place these things on the battlefield is a giant pain. I see no reason at all to buy one of these things. I don't want fortifications. I'm not paying points to put fortifications in my army. I will use the terrain that's on the battlefield. Thank you very much, Games Workshop. If I did buy this thing, it would become terrain. So, anyhow, that is Sisters episode 4, at least the units part. Overall, the reason these units are not there is because they represent things that just don't fit into the Sisters or into the Silver Chalice, or in the case of the Battle Sanctum, are frankly just garbage. The special characters are not from the Silver Chalice and are not generic enough that I want them, and just don't seem to offer me anything. I don't often play as Martyred Lady. In fact, I don't know that I ever have. Although I've thought about it, but I just don't see it. There are some exceptions. The Immolator, the Assassins, the Mortifier, and the Crusaders. I would get the Assassins. I actually do own a pair of them, but I would get them in very small numbers, and they are very low priority. So for all intents and purposes, they're a no, because I would get them, but there's always something that's going to come first. Anyhow, thanks for watching this. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, comment down below, and leave us a pound Valkyrie for our doggy if you don't have anything else to say, because Her Majesty would really, really like it. And it helps us out with the algorithm a lot. And please click the notifications bell for more great content from Wilderness Wargaming, and I will see you back here again very soon. Bye.